I'm going to be 25 this year, a quarter of a century, and over the last 24 years, I feel like I've grown up a lot and I've developed a lot. And so I want to share some life lessons that I've learned before I'm 25, in the hopes that maybe in a few years I can look back on it and see what I've learned and see how much progress I've made, but also in the hopes that it might help you guys to learn something too. Hello and welcome back to Max Talks, the channel where we like to talk about personal finance, personal development and job searching. So my first life lesson is to invest in yourself. Now, I know that sounds broad, it could mean absolutely anything, but to me, investing in myself means a couple of things. It means that I'm setting myself up so I can live life how I want to live it, both in the future and also now. So from a financial perspective, I'm investing in myself by investing, literally. So over the last year, I've really started to take investing and my personal finance situation a lot more seriously, including getting a bit of an understanding for it, reading up on it, doing a bit of research to figure out exactly what the best steps to take for me are in order to secure a long-term future. Well, I want to be able to travel, I want to be able to spend a lot of time with family and friends, and also I want to do lots of hobbies. And for that, unfortunately, you need money. So in order to secure the long-term future that I want, I've got to try and accumulate and invest. So that's exactly what I've tried to do. I've ditched the old savings accounts. And by the way, if you do want to check out any of my personal finance videos, they'll be somewhere up here or down there. I don't know. Check them out anyways. They're worth a watch. But my comment as well for you, how do you invest in yourself? Whether this be financially or personally from a more personal perspective. Now, obviously, from a financial perspective, that's fairly straightforward, and my financial strategy and the things that I've learned are that finance is important. I think that finance isn't taught in school, and it should be. You should be able to learn about finance from a young age because it can really help you to do the things that you want to do. With that being said, investing in yourself is not just about finance, it's about a personal perspective. It's about a personal perspective as well. So for me, this means like looking after myself physically by going out for runs, walks, working out. I mean, that for me is exciting. I enjoy that, and also it's a good stress reliever, and it takes care of both of me physically and mentally, because of course mental health is really important. And I mean, maybe when we say investing in yourself, maybe for you that means like drawing or doing something which you enjoy and which means that you can look after yourself as well. And I think that's the most important thing, because we can get bogged down in terms of life, with stress, with work, with everything that we've got going on. But sometimes it's good to just take a bit of time to yourself and do something that you really enjoy. Something as well which I've really learned and is included within investing in myself is learning to relax when I need to. I tend to kind of live life at like a million miles an hour sometimes, and just like work hard and just like smash it out basically all the time. And of course, your body and your mind, it reaches boiling point, and at that point you've got to let off steam, otherwise you're gonna blow. The water is gonna explode everywhere, you're gonna explode. So that's something that I've learned as well, is to recognize that point and then to kind of take some time just to chill. Don't do anything, because otherwise it screws you over for like a few days at a time. So I think that's one of the kind of things for me. Let me know if you guys find that as well. Is that something that you do? Because I know there was a guy who like died because he worked too hard and didn't do that. And I'm not saying that's the case for everybody, but like, yeah. Sleeping as well is another big one which I've learned to do more. Learn to sleep? No, I've not learned to sleep, but I've learned to sleep to a more adequate degree. So something which more suits me and my patterns and makes me feel refreshed and better in the mornings. My second life lesson that I've learned before 25 is to get things in writing or to read the small print. Now, that sounds really boring, and I'm not going to be your like contract lawyer to come and say that everything that you're doing is wrong and you're living life wrong. But what I am saying is that like I've learned how important it is to get things in writing, because like if you've been given like a verbal job offer, until that's written down, it means nothing. You can't prove that you've got a job. I know you could say that you've got like a verbal contract and all that sort of stuff, but it doesn't prove anything. You have to get things like written down in writing until they're absolutely confirmed. And obviously, if we're talking about a job, terms of employment or a contract signed or whatever. But also that kind of brings on to the next, I guess, like mini part of that, which is to make sure that you know what you're signing and you know like what you're reading. And if you're not happy with it, like don't be afraid to challenge it and change it. Make sure that you read the small print. Of course, I'm not saying to read like the thousands of pages of the updated terms and conditions of like a new app update or anything like that, because I don't think you need to, unless that's how you want to spend your time, which, you know what, go for it. Read that small print, get everything in writing. It kind of confirms everything for you. It protects yourself, and it means that you're not necessarily liable and you have a bit more security. So obviously by that I mean like it applies to rent in terms of like your legal obligations. There can be some clauses in there which maybe you might accidentally break, and then you could be made liable, or you have to pay money, or you could be taken to court. So like, while that sounds really boring and, you know, it's not like a really deep life lesson or whatever, I think it's an important one nonetheless. Number 3, and this is like probably for some people a hard pill to swallow, is don't waste time on things you don't want to do. So for me, one of the big things on this is social media. You may follow me on social media on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I mean, even YouTube could be classed as social media, which, by the way, if you're not subscribed, the button's down below, make sure to do it, and why not give the video a like while you're there. For me, social media is something that I don't like. I don't enjoy it. I don't like spending a lot of time on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter. So if you do follow me or like my pages on Facebook and Instagram, then thank you. But I don't really post there because I don't like doing it. I couldn't think of anything worse than being an influencer, because it's not something that I enjoy. TikTok is one thing I refuse to get because I think it's such a waste of time. Like, the algorithm learns everything about you. I'm not saying that other social media platforms don't, but because of course they do, but that is not for me. I am steering clear of TikTok. I mean, I say that now, but maybe in a few years, who knows? Also, another thing that I've learned is saying no and not being afraid to say no to things that you don't want to do. As an example, one of my former housemates, we were going like for an outing. I think, I can't remember exactly what the circumstances were. It was like a house outing, so everyone was going, and like he just said no, like, I don't want to go. And I was like, you know what? Fair play. Like, that is what I want to aspire to be like. Because so many times we spend time coming up with ridiculous excuses for reasons we don't want to go to things, or because we're afraid of hurting other people's feelings, or we think they'll be upset or angry at us or annoyed us. But the thing is, if they're your friends or your family or whoever, they should understand, like, you're not obligated to go to things or to do things for people. If you don't want to do something, just like don't do it, or don't say you're going to do it and then don't do it. Obviously, don't agree to something that you don't want to do. That's an important one, and like certainly something for me that I've got a lot better as. Like, before, I used to be able to be persuaded. If I said no, then I could be persuaded to go yes, like depending on what it is, of course. But now, no means no, and I think people have kind of learned that about me to some degree. So yeah, please do let me know in the comments what your life lessons are that you've learned this year or so far in your life, and what things you want to learn as well. Maybe any of these have triggered something. If you've watched this video and you enjoyed, please feel free to give it a like rating, subscribe below and hit the bell for notifications, and make sure to watch one of the other 2 videos which will pop up on your screen in a minute. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.